Welcome to the Betfred Boxing Show with myself, Don McGuinness and Anthony Crolla. Anthony, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to preview, of course, the big one stateside in Texas. Billy Joe is going to tackle Canelo, which is it's a huge thing he's got on his hands. We're going to go back into the Matchroom Bubble, if you like. We're going to assess everything that went on the fight card that we've just witnessed and look to all other things as well. But we're going to start because Britain has a new world champion.
Yes, what a performance.
Sonny Edwards, the 10th British champion. Again, he went in there and pretty much boxed to perfection, didn't he?
It was brilliant. And listen, he's going in there an underdog as well. And Maurice Matalan, everyone in that division, he was seen as the man in the division. He was seen as the number one with the Ring, magazine. So he was seen as the man in the division. And Sonny boxed a beautiful fight. He was, I think, just how elusive he was, and just watching it, and you think he started well here, then 1 round, 2 round, 3 round, and then all of a sudden you think he's took the first 4 or 5 rounds. He's going to do this. Can he withstand the pressure of Matalan late on? And he did that, and it was a brilliant performance. And now he states his claim to be the number one in the division, and the fight there now that people are talking about is the one with Martinez, who boxed obviously Charlie, who got disqualified for it in law, but he's come on and since then won a world title. He looks a little beast, but no, great performance by Sonny Edwards.
And it's something, isn't it, for a family to have 2 world champions, 2 brothers. I mean, again, we've seen it with the Smiths, and we're going to talk about Liam as well a bit later on, because Liam's got a big fight on his hands. But Liam and Callum, obviously from the Smiths, who were 4 British champions, 2 world champions, and they all boxed for world titles. But the Edwards boys, again, they're right up there now, aren't they? Yeah,
I say it all the time with the boys there. What they've done, they've started, and they've done it proper as well. British titles first, they've gone along the traditional route in a way. And like I say, we see a lot of good boxing brothers, but we see very few who come in and both win world titles. So yeah, massive, very proud family that's got to be.
Yeah, sensational. And Michael Connell was on the card as well, and again,
yes,
the job done.
Very game opponent in Beluto. I mean, he's coming off a few good wins. I think he beat TJ Doheny. He beat
Hogan as well.
David Oliver Joyce as well. David Oliver Joyce as well. So it was a danger. And do you know what I thought it was? I thought it was the perfect fight before he sort of steps into, towards those world title fights. Eliminators, final eliminators. I think. Listen, I thought it was a great learning fight. Conlan, just the kind of fight he needs, and I think that'll stand him in good stead for when he does fight for that world title. But another great win.
Well, we've just witnessed a huge card in Manchester, of course.
Yep.
Again, we've spent, both of us, a good bit of time in the Matchroom Bubble to go through the full experience ahead of Saturday night's fight night. I mean, firstly, your bubble experience, how did you find it? You've been in them before.
Yeah.
You normally work in the corners and everything else. You were all hands on deck. You were working with Betfred, but of course you were with Marcus, you were with Natasha, you were with Joe.
I was wearing a few hats. I was there. I was a drinking partner to yourself.
There was no drink
some nights.
No drink had.
But yes, no, it was. Listen, it's great. And listen, the bubble. I say any promoter who's putting on shows in the current climate, with the bubbles and stuff like that. But it's an enjoyable experience, isn't it? I don't just mean because there's a bar that you can sit in right like that, but there's something always going on.
It helps, doesn't it? Let's face it. Come on, let's be honest.
It helps, and everyone together. There's a real good. We talked about it before. There's a lot of characters in that bubble, but it was just it was great. It was great, and I just think it was sort of before it. You seen Derek Chisora, Jodie Parker sat together, having breakfast and stuff. Something a little bit different, and good.
And I think, I don't know if you agree, but Roy Jones Jr. seemed to be pretty much the star of the show.
Yeah.
Because everyone was a little bit wow every time he walked in a room. But he had a word for everybody, didn't he?
He had time for everyone. He was brilliant. No ego. If anyone's allowed an ego, I think it's Roy Jones Jr., one of the best to ever do it. And he was great with everyone. I remember just seeing a night where there was, I think Levi Dunn who fought Campbell Latin. He was waiting around, after his little press, his pictures and that, for a picture with Roy Jones, and he gave everyone time, and I thought it was brilliant.
It was a bit of a who's who in the bubble. It was great fun. But in terms of the action on the night, again, it was stacked. I mean, Scott Fitzgerald came back, which was great to see. He came back. There was a real shocker with James Tennyson, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. And listen, James, I believe, is a world-class puncher, as we've seen. But I think I can't even say he relied on his power shave. He got caught very early on, and he never recovered. His opponent, what a story. I think he was something scary. He was almost at the age of 8 and 9, ended up an alcoholic. he's come back from that, and he could see what it meant to him. And I think now, Eddie and Matchroom, they'll be absolutely gutted because the next plan, as soon as it was all over, to get over to Belfast, one of the great fighting cities around the world. And listen, that can still happen, but it's a little bit of that buzz has now got, unless they do the rematch, similar to, your Josh Warrington, Lara, who, funny enough, is from the same camp. Yeah. The two Mexican fighters are from the same camp. But a big upset nonetheless.
Also, Dimitri Bivol, it's great to see him again in the bubble, but also to have a star like him. Now, again, I don't think it was a classic Bivol performance, and Craig Richards, though, played his part. And
I thought Craig Richards was brilliant, and, what a great lad we were speaking to in the weekend. But you could see there was a confidence about him, and speaking to Peter Sims the night before the fight, they really fancied it. But Bivol probably seen a little bit more of him than wanted to. He was on our floor, hitting pads in sweatsuits.
Do you think he was tight away? And would that be any explanation from him slightly under par?
Yeah, it is a possibility. Let's not take anything away from Craig Richards, who we thought was brilliant. He believed in himself more as the fight went on. And speaking to him after it, he says, it was like I got hit in round 5 and I thought, no, that's your best shot. And I think that gave him the... Yeah. And like you say, there's one of the cards I thought was way out. I thought he pushed Bivol really... I thought he pushed him really close. But with Bivol there, I think people look at him and they're like, no, he can make super middleweight. He's not the biggest light heavyweight, but I don't believe that. I'd like to say seeing and hearing the pads banging on the landing every night in sweat gear. Maybe he was a little bit tight, I don't know. But no, we'll see now. I think obviously it's not in a... He's certainly one of the leaders in the light heavyweight division, but it wasn't a statement throughout there.
No, but inactivity again, if
you've got to consider that. Yeah, and he still looked, to be fair, he still looked like, could he go through the gears? Yeah. He still got those gears to go through, but he didn't that night. Whether that was down to Craig Richards, great tactics as well. I don't know.
Yeah, you mentioned Campbell Hatton. He had his second fight, and again, he made improvements from the first.
Yeah, there was a big improvement.
He was very pleased afterwards because he was down on himself.
And I seen Ricky, he was pleased, sort of like, I think he said in his Instagram post, it was like night and day, and I think he was much better, and against a fellow Mancunian as well, so a nice little local derby.
It was game, no Levi. I mean, he's much smaller than Campbell, isn't he? But he was game.
Yeah, I weight or so below, weight or two below Campbell. But, it's good for Campbell early on in his career to have those, like a little bit of local rivalry and stuff like that, away from the fans, so because it will happen at some point soon. He's been there before.
A fight you were very invested in. Chris Eubank Jr., again, nobody gave Marcus Morrison a chance outside of your camp and one or two people inside the game that knows about Marcus and about the threat he can pose, and it was one of those fights for Marcus. And again, it's an old cliche, isn't it? But his standing rises in defeat.
Yeah, he did. He comes out of there, and he starts risen. I remember after it, Eddie come into the changing rooms and he went, "You were brilliant tonight. You're going to come again." And I think Marcus was disappointed. Obviously, he lost, and then I think he went out before Natasha and Katie Taylor, and everyone's coming up to him saying how well done. I think he felt a bit better then when he come in, but I thought, like I said, with that fight, and some people was like, why didn't Eubank Jr. put it on him more? But there's a reason why, and no matter what's said about wanting to get the rounds in, because I think he was being smart as well. Marcus is very, very heavy-handed. Eubank Jr. didn't punch with him too much. Because I think, listen, I'm not suggesting Marcus had Eubank Jr. in trouble anytime, but he definitely felt the power of Marcus. As Marcus, who said to me after it, he said he hit very, very hard. Eubank Jr. hit very hard. And listen, inactivity as well. But no, I thought that Marcus come out, definitely his stock's risen, and Eubank Jr. now, we've just been talking about it. He could have been a bit reckless, sort of like James Tennyson was, and now his future plans could be in tatters a little bit. James Tennyson can come back, but Eubank Jr. at that point of his career, it would have been much harder. So he's satisfied with the work, and Roy Jones was satisfied with the work, so he pushes on them now, and you hear the name Kell Brook mentioned. He's always mentioned Golovkin for years. We'll see, but I think, he needs the big fight now, Eubank Jr.
Well, there was a big fight that stole the show, in my opinion.
Yes,
I'm sure you
without
agree.
a doubt.
Again, we've seen it with the women before that's stealing the show, and I think that the best thing about it was that it was technically brilliant. Yeah. And again, there's often been so many disparaging remarks made about women's boxing. That was just a really good boxing match.
Yes,
Katie and Natasha.
One of the fights of the year, men, women,
matched.
Yes.
And I think, again, you might differ slightly, but Katie's know-how just at the end got her over the line.
I agree. I thought, I was in Tasha's corner, super proud of her. But I thought the scorecards was bang on. I think the round, funny enough, was seeing it in the group, in the WhatsApp group then, and about round 9. Round 9, I think, was the round that cost Tasha. People say, oh, round 9 and 10. Round 10, if you watch it back, was so close. It was a round of 2 halves. Like the first minute, Tasha had great success, and then Katie come back in the second and sort of used her experience, just let the fast hands go, shoe shine a little bit, and although a lot of them hit the gloves, it's still the the iron. Yeah. But in round 9, I think Tasha just sort of switched off, and Katie was clever. She didn't do loads, but she did a lot more than Tasha. And the round had passed her by. But what a fight! It was the exchanges, and you know what? Just 2 good human beings, just 2 brilliant girls. Like, I was like in the back with Tash after it. She's got just the ice on her head, and she's just chatting away, smiling, replying to everyone. Katie's back in the hotel again. She's got time for everyone. She's only quiet, but she's got time for just 2 great girls, and just 2 great ambassadors for the sport.
Completely now, but as you are team Tasha, obviously.
Yeah.
What happens next? Because again, it's good to. You were saying it on the night. It was great that she wasn't too down on herself or anything else, because she pretty much was almost perfect, wasn't she? I mean, everything was
almost
just against an absolute legend.
Yes, a legend.
And Tasha,
she comes so close. She comes so close. And listen to talk again of, whether there'll be a rematch. A lot of people like to see it. They deserve a crowd. How good would that been to see either at Liverpool or obviously, if it could happen, and deservedly so, it'd be an homecoming for Katie. But it's hard now with Tasha. It's not hard. Sorry, that's wrong. She's 36 years of age, and the last 2 fights she's been absolutely brilliant, and she's obviously a draw and then just coming up short in the world title fights. It's tough. Like, you believe she deserves a world title, but it's just now waiting to see what she's going to do. Obviously, there'll always talk of the Terry Harper rematch, Katie rematch.
Would she fancy Terry Harper? I mean, would that
Tasha would. She
the
has
weight
done from
be
the
an
start.
Issue,
no, she went back up, and I think she'd go back down.
Yeah.
I think she's always said anyone from 130 to 140. She'd be willing, but I think it'd be great to see her lift the world title. Not just she's a friend of mine, but if there's anyone deserving of a world title after those 2 fights, I believe it's Natasha Jonas.
Yeah, and then obviously the main event was the big boys. Joseph Parker getting the nod over Derek Chisora, and Derek was he was very impressive. He never stopped.
Yes.
He never stopped, and he caught obviously Parker early on.
Yes.
Joe used his calm brain and Andy Lee's calm advice.
Yeah, I think that come into play a little bit.
Not, he's not the type to panic Joe anyway.
It was very close. I think most people around us and most people thought Derek had just done enough and could understand that. And I
think David Hay and Tony Bellew thought he'd done enough. I'm not sure.
It's we thought Derek just done enough, and very close. I won't be surprised if we see that again. You're on about night of rematches, and 2 fights we just mentioned. You wouldn't be surprised, but it'd be interesting now. Like, does Parker look to move on, or does he have the rematch? The rematch does make sense for them both. But Derek, as always, relentless, coming forward. Started it almost looked like an early night, didn't it? But there was definitely improvement in Parker as well as the fight went on. The work he's been doing with Andy Lee. Again, another great guy. He had time for everyone. Derek's great character. It was good entertaining, solid heavyweight fight. We'll see now. We'll see what happens now for both of them. If there is a rematch, that's what Derek wants and his team, or does Parker look to move on?
Well, Joe Parker, of course, got the nod. So have a look at Joe Parker post fight.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you. Yes, definitely.
I'll see you in a few months.
What were you thinking when you get put down by the first punch of the fight? Was it, or did you just feel like you kind of fell over your feet a bit?
I looked at the corner and Andy said, focused. That's what we've been working on the whole camp, was staying focused for every second, every minute, every round. And there's times where I did lose focus. There's a lot of things to work on. And I think the only way to work on it is to get back to camp and put in the work and the hours I need to put in.
Do you think you were fully switched on at the start of the fight?
Well, obviously not.
Ask a silly question, get a silly answer. What I suppose, Chris, you asked it there with, once you did kind of get back to your feet, it was a case of just relax and...
Yeah, relaxing. Relaxing. I got the whole camp. We worked on better movement, and I felt still a bit of lazy footwork. But like I said, if we put in time and work on these things, there's only space for improvement.
Because he kept coming forward, didn't he, in the early rounds?
He came forward,
He seemed to tire out.
We knew what he was going to bring, pressure from the beginning, and he did exactly that until the very end.
Yeah. What do you want next? What kind of fight is out there that you'd love to get?
Well, I think he's calling for a rematch.
Yeah.
I think with us in our team, me, Andy, and and the boys would take any fight. I think we won't shy away from any challenge.
There you go. Great scenes inside the dressing room of Joe Parker. And what a lovely fella he is. And I think that there's a lovely bond between himself and Andy Leno.
Yes, there is. It's a great team. And listen, the whole of the team, Parker, was brilliant. I feel sorry for his brother. I think we've got to give a special mention to. I think he had to travel the next day. Was 30 odd hours home and then 2 weeks quarantine going into Australia. So some brotherly love there.
Well, he lives in New Zealand, so he's got to get back to there as well.
Let's start again.
Listen, we are. That doesn't matter. We'll crack on. Well, the big boys as well over in the States were in action.
Yes,
Chris
Ariola nearly caused an upset.
He got caught as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Listen, every knockdown's fair play. Rui's coming back, but I think it's gone viral. His post-fight interview about judges, he's not happy with Chris Ariola, but fair play, he's done well. I, for one, certainly thought that Ruiz would. I still believe he'll be a major player in the heavyweight division, but I thought he'd do a job. So fair play to Chris Ariola, but I think some of the scorecards was a little bit unfair on him for sure. Right winner, but yeah, we'll see now what happens with Ruiz. Whether we see the improvements under the Reynoso camp and which route he's going to go.
That's it with the heavyweight division. Can't think of anything else, can you?
Might be one fight.
What, Derek Parker 2?
Nearly. We're still waiting.
There was some talk about Fury, Joshua. Let's see what Eddie Hearn's got to say. So go on, Eddie. What can you tell us?
I just said in an interview over there, I think there's like 2 or 3 Bob Arams, because I messaged him last night after seeing one of his articles. Said, what's going on? Well, he's taking time. I said, of course he's taking time. It's one of the biggest deals. Well, it is the biggest deal really in boxing history.
Yeah.
So, but he said we haven't spoken for a week. I spoke to him. Last communication was Friday and Thursday. The lawyers were on a phone on Sunday. So I don't know. I think sometimes Bob, he's 90, but I think a lot of the time he likes to put pressure on. And this is his way of saying they need to hurry up, and they do need to hurry up. But it takes. There's a lot of lawyers involved in this, and it's not just something that comes back and then you've got one guy's in Middle East time, lawyer there. You've got a guy who's on UK time, lawyer. You've got a guy in New York at lawyer. You've got a guy on the West Coast, lawyer. So we're working as fast as we can. But when he says Bob Arum says Eddie Hearn's running out of time, what's he got to do with me? We're supposed to be in this together. Why am I running out of time? I'm the only one doing any work. So if you don't want to get involved, if you don't want to do anything, if you don't want to lift a finger, you just want to rely on me, wait. Right? Because everybody's told, we've had it in writing, that the site offer, we all accept it. They've signed a contract, the contract's come in, this fight is on. But if you listen to Bob, part of me thinks they don't want to do the fight. But that's why I wanted to see Tyson in Vegas, because he reassured me that he wants the fight. And he called out about 6 people this morning on Instagram, and one of them was AJ, so that's a good sign,
Yeah.
CrossFit Dosser. Something like that.
Yeah. The new insult. No, thanks, mate.
So will they, won't they? But I think it's getting, again, we've been saying it a long time, but all the parties seem to be on different levels, if you like. There's Eddie there, Aram's there, Frank's in between, it would seem. I don't know.
I wonder sometimes, I think, does each promoter want to make the other promoter look a bit stupid, or I don't know, because you keep hearing different things, but the way Eddie was speaking to us and off camera, it seems like more or less a done deal. It's a matter of sort of the tiniest few things and it gets announced, and I hope so, but it is dragging on, there's no denying that. When obviously there's always the talk of obstacles that get in the way, but he seems confident it's going to happen, so hopefully that's the case.
Yeah, you were just talking before about journeys and kind of getting from A to B in these current climates. It's not easy with Joe Parker's brother, but Liam Smith.
Wow, yeah.
And the Smith family. I mean, Liam was okay because I think Liam's travelled over to Ekaterinburg, which is way out. We're not talking Moscow here. We're talking hours beyond Moscow, out towards the east. So Liam got out there in decent time on a fairly direct flight, but I know that Paul, his brother, was on all sorts of planes, trains and automobiles, and his dad. And
with his,
I mean, they're all there now anyway, aren't they? And
they're all there, which is good. And Liam's there in good time, a good week before in Russia. But even that, it was still a big flight. But that's a great fight, that, on Friday night. We see it. It's one of them, going to Russia can never be easy, and there's no night. Liam's been brought there as the opponent, but he's very confident, and I think it can't help but be a good fight. Stylistically, Liam's rarely in a bad fight anyway.
Yeah.
But stylistically, I think it's going to be a very good fight.
Well, never easy, but he's going to Kubanov's hometown.
Yes.
He's never fought outside of Russia.
Kubanov's coming off a very good win as well, like good stoppage win. If I'm right, he was with Adam Booth for a bit as well. Could be wrong, but I'm sure he was with Adam Booth for a bit. And very capable. So I think like the winner of this is going to be in line sort of some kind of final eliminator for a world title. Like I said, wish he was there. I think if it wasn't a 38-hour flight, I would have made the trip myself to support him. But yeah, I just think I see Liam taking over, winning on points.
The Russian bubble this week.
There might be some vodka that drunk, wasn't it? But the national drink. But yeah, no, it would have been good. But I think the travelling would have killed me. Like you say, I remember speaking to Paul, and there's just a lot of stopovers and stuff. So it's not ideal for Liam, but he's had a good week to get over it. Weight seems in a good place. Yeah. And it'll be an interesting fight. There was a brilliant touch, I don't know if you've seen it on social media, where Liam's in the gym and he gives Kubanov's son a set of gloves, or he gives it Kubanov to give his son. He was talking to him, a good little box for himself. So nice touch. We spoke about Josie Park, Derek Chisora sharing breakfast, but it's nice, it doesn't always have to be needle between the fighters.
Yeah, wait till he gets one of Liam's uppercuts. And,
yes, could be different.
It's not so nice then, is it?
Our fans say, and people say biased, but I think Liam on points, which won't be easy in Russia, but I think it's a good fight.
Well, I'm sure he's biased as well. His brother Paul, and we, through Boxing Social, our friends, has caught up with Paul to give his thoughts on Smith against Kubanov.
There's been a lot of talk, or certainly it was a couple months ago, everyone went a bit quiet recently about who's going to be training Liam. Just kind of as an update on that, what can you tell us about Liam's current training situation?
He's based here in the Rotunda with Joseph McNally and Declan O'Rourke. We used to all box together for the Rotunda, they're all family friends as well. They're still friends of ours now. And they recently coached the likes of David Price and the good coaches, and Liam's training here for this one with them two, and looking to try and further his career and progress his career with a very important fight over in Russia.
Obviously, I saw the clips of Liam out in LA with Manny Robles. I saw an interview where Manny said he would be training Liam. Do you know where things kind of stand with that?
You know what? It's all on Liam. I know since he's been back, things change and times change and people changing that. So I don't really sort of interfere with that side of things. And Liam's his own man. He always has been, and he'll make decisions on what he sees best. And I wouldn't rule anything out. I don't know what's going to be happening with him in future. But as of now, he's trained here. He's trained by Joseph and Declan, and that's what's going to be for the future until Liam decides. Liam's the boss, and whatever Liam decides to do with him and his management team is what Liam will do, and that's how it should be for fighters. And too many fighters have to you have to remember that you're the boss. It's your career. You've got one career, and you've got one chance at it and one crack at it, and you've got to make the most of it. And whether that be a manager or a trainer or anyone else, don't mean Liam. I mean fighters in general. You have to make the best decisions for you. And you're a long time retired, and there's not many managers or trainers out there who have great relationships with fighters after it's over. There's some that have got brilliant relationships. It's all different and horses for courses. So you have to make the right decisions for you and your career and be selfish. And Liam's looking after himself and looking after his own career.
Paul, talk to me about this fight then with Kubanov. It's a very interesting one. It's going to be a tough one for Liam as well. A lot of people they do fancy Kubanov heading into this, especially because Liam hasn't fought recently. What do you guys know about him, and what have you been studying on him, and what are you looking to exploit?
Listen, I have no part in the training side of things. I just come in and watch him, and I enjoy it, and I think I'll be in the corner or helping out in the corner, or just sit and watch it from the front row as we do when the brothers fight. It's not really a problem. But he's got a good game plan. The coaches have been studying him. Kubanov religiously watching everything he does good, everything he does bad. I've watched him a couple of times on the tapes and on YouTube, and I've seen what he does well, and he loves the old shoulder roll even there, the way he fights. It's not really that we haven't really seen out of the ordinary for Liam and what Liam won't have seen and experienced before. And I think a lot of people are underestimating Liam in this one. And I'm just watching the fight and watching the tapes. I can't see it, but that's okay for me to say. I'm not fighting him. You know what I mean? It's Liam fighting him, but we know, and everyone that's been involved with Liam or been in the ring with Liam knows what Liam's got, and I think it'll be more than enough on the night, and a good performance out there and a good impression left will stand Liam in great stead for the future to try and get another world title shot and get up there at the top of the mix again.
Liam Smith, who's got a real job on his hands, but if anyone can pull it off, Liam can pull it off. He's a super talented fella. He
is great to watch in the gym. Everyone who sees him in the gym, when he was at the gym, just say how he's a joy to watch. Just lovely style fights like a Mexican where the name LB4 comes from. But when you see a Mexican and a Russian get in the ring, so you rarely see a bad fight. That's why I think it's going to be such a good fight. And listen, it could be intimidating, but I don't see him being intimidated whatsoever. He never strikes me as that type.
Doesn't really seem like the kind of lad to be too bothered. But there is, talking of Mexicans, a Mexican in action this weekend. Canelo, who takes on Britain's Billy Joe Saunders. Now, of course, Canelo loves to fight Britons. Yes. Billy Joe, and again, everyone's been speaking about this for a good while, but we're right on it now. So to look at this now, Canelo's only blip was a young Canelo against Mayweather. Yeah. Since then, of course, he's just become the man, pound for pound. Do you see any way for the tricky southpaw that is Billy Joe to really, apart from causing him problems, to actually beat Canelo and beat him well?
Not beat him well. I don't even say. I don't think anyone beats Canelo well.
Will he not have to beat him very well to get the arm raised?
I'd feel that way. Yeah, I would feel that way. Unless Canelo either lands a glove in, but I don't see anyone doing that with him whatsoever. I think Mayweather off the camera said he caught Canelo at the right time. I think with Billy Joe, I've said it from the start, I think stylistically, when you look at opponents who's had trouble with your Laras, your Trouts, he suits that style. He's much more suited to have success than, say, what Callum Smith did, or, other opponents. But seeing Canelo close up and just seeing how smart he is, defensively, how good he is. Listen, Billy Joe is in for a tough night, but he's super confident. One thing I'll say about Billy Joe, and I was only just saying this with someone before, people who've seen him close up, they'll say, and they'll see him sparring, when he's firing, they'll say, he's the best I've seen, well-respected boxing people. So I really do think he will cause Canelo problems, and the mind games, whether they are mind games or not, whether they started, I think you get the feeling Canelo wants to make a statement against Billy Joe, and that can always be a little bit dangerous with a slick mover, slick operator like Billy Joe. But I think now we've had the size of the ring, that looks like it's sorted. We're all systems go for what's going to be a great fight.
Yeah, and before he set off for Texas, we caught up with the promoter of both men, Eddie Hearn. That fight now, Canelo, Billy Joe. I'm sure you're in touch with Billy Joe all the time. I mean, that's another huge task, though, isn't it?
He kind of feels that, I'm favouring Canelo Alvarez. I'm not really favouring Canelo Alvarez. He's just the pound-for-pound #1 star, and he's getting a lot of attention. And Billy Joe don't really want to do any media, so all the attention's on Canelo Alvarez as well. But my job is to provide the opportunities for those guys. I've done it for both of them, and the rest is up to them. Billy Joe's been looking for this opportunity for a long time. I think it's a real live fight. I think it's the toughest fight out there for Canelo Alvarez. Billy Joe is going to look razor sharp. He's in tremendous shape. He's got the bit between his teeth, and it's going to be a thrilling fight. 70,000 people there. The atmosphere is going to be absolutely wild, and it's over to him. It's a tall order because Canelo is fantastic. He's brilliant. Yeah. But so is Billy Joe. He's undefeated. He's a 2-weight world champion. But we're going to find out now. He's wanted this for a long, long time. And if he is what he says he is, and if he's going to be very, very dangerous in that fight, and he can win that fight.
Yeah, you've just been there with Callum, though, haven't you? And it's still fresh in your head.
You'd think Billy Joe's a lot more suited to have success when you go past opponents of Canelo who's caused trouble, like your Laras, your Trout, southpaw on the move. If he does this, Eddie, it's ranked right up there with one of the greatest wins by a British fighter on a way.
So without doubt. Yeah. Especially, there's a lot of talk about, am I going to get a fair? You're up against. You've got Canelo Alvarez in one corner. You've got 70,000 Mexicans in the in the arena. It ain't going to be easy. Yeah. But Billy's Billy's a bit of a maverick, you know, like when he needs to turn it on, he can turn it on. And when he doesn't need to turn it on, he just don't turn it on. So you see him in performances, you know, in LA or against Isuti, where you just think he's not really. And then you see him against Andy Lee, you see him against Lemieux, and you think, wow. Like I watched that Lemieux fight the other night. I mean, you know, Canelo's a different animal, but he did absolutely school him in that fight.
And he spawned a generation of people doing that, saluting the crowd, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think as well, you know, people keep referring back to Lara and Trout and Mayweather, and then Canelo's response to that and Reynoso's response is, I was a novice, like I didn't really know what I was doing back then. I'm a totally different fighter, but Billy's got that style, a bit like Demetrius Andrade. You don't really want to go near it, really. Yeah. So that's why both guys need the props, because Canelo's going, he's a champion. I need to win the belt, and Canelo's and Billy's fighting the pound for pound number one. So it's going to be a brilliant fight.
Interesting few days in store, I think, for Eddie Hearn. There's going to be a few more twists and turns before the two men get in the ring, and of course he promotes both lads, and he's already had a bit of earache, I think, from Team Saunders and
there's that.
Canelo. You know, I think he gets on very well with Canelo. That's been a good alliance so far. Yes. Isn't it? So he's going to get a lot of grief, I think, Eddie, isn't he?
I think so. And then the big man Tyson Fury, he's going to be in town. We could get the announcement of the big fight this weekend on the back of this. Have another big fight, but yeah, it certainly looks like it's been a lively bubble over there in Dallas. Like I've just mentioned, the size of the ring, you can see a few back and forth between the two teams. Canelo's English was perfect in the few words that he said. But yeah, I think there is that little bit of needle there from Canelo. Whether that works for Billy Joe or not, we'll see. We'll see on the night. But I'm extremely confident, and like Canelo, think I'll come through this and I'll come through it well. Billy Joe's been chanting for this fight for a long time, and I don't believe it's just because of the payday. I believe that he genuinely thinks he can do it.
Well, we can cross to the camp of Billy Joe Saunders as well. This is right hot off the press, because producer Josh has caught up with his trainer, Mark Tibbs.
Joined here by Mark Tibbs, the trainer of Billy Joe Saunders. You're out there in Dallas, Texas, ahead of the big fight on Saturday. First of all, everything has been put to bed with regards to the ring that was being talked about at the start of this week.
I believe so. I mean, I've just come down for breakfast, and I've had a chat with Eddie and Frank. And to be fair, I've not mentioned the ring because I hear it's all in order. So I don't want to put my oar in and when someone else is dealing with it. But yeah, so no, it's good. We cleared one or two things up with my concerns over my corner, and I'm very happy with my conversation with Eddie and Frank Smith this morning. It's one of them things, and it's the situation we're in. But I've got a fantastic corner that Billy Joe Saunders is provided with in a guy called Killer, but his name's Amir, and I know Amir, and I know and Jamie Sheridan, who's our cuts man, so I've known him a long time as well. So I've got a great corner, and I'm looking forward to Saturday night now for sure. Yeah,
definitely. And you were in the Canary Islands, and you went over to Las Vegas. How have the preparations been ahead of this fight?
Well, it's been a very, very long time, but it's been a worthy two camps, to tell the truth. I mean, the Martin Murray camp was like a pre-prep for this occasion on Saturday night. So it's been probably about 6 months in total, but it's going to be worth it, I'm sure. And I'm happy with the way everything's going and gone, and it is right now, to tell the truth. So thank you very much. I'm really happy. So I'm buzzing, to tell the truth, and can't wait for Saturday night.
Definitely. And speaking to a lot of people ahead of this fight, a lot of people have said Billy Joe is probably going to be Canelo's toughest opponent and can cause Canelo like some of his biggest challenges to date. What have you guys? What chinks in the armour have you seen from Canelo that Billy could go and win this fight?
Well, it ain't so much chinks in the armour. It's about what there was of Billy Joe Saunders from more from him to bring out. And with a guy like Canelo in front of him, you're going to see the best of Billy Joe Saunders. So yeah, and they're both phenomenal fighters with phenomenal careers from their teenage years right up until today, and did it pain barriers after pain barriers, and they've gone through the systems, and they're at the top of their game. That is the best, fighting the best, 1,000,000%, and it's probably the biggest and bestest two athletes, fighting athletes. You know, it's no more that they can do. So we're bringing it to the table. Matchroom Boxing are bringing it to the table here in Dallas on Saturday night. So you can't ask for better than that for boxing fans. Can't ask for better than that. So it's going to be a wonderful, great event, I believe, and we've got every chance of pulling off this job, 1,000,000%. And I've seen. I was left breathless on Monday, just gone with our man. We feel he's peaking, so we're really happy.
And in terms of strategy, I know you're not going to give too much away, but do you think this is one that go the distance? Or do you think it could be one that Billy ends early?
Well, listen, look, you've got boxing people. I've said this before. It's like a matador on a ball scenario. But Billy's equipped. Billy's equipped. Now you've got to read into what I'm saying now, because I don't want to open my mouth too much. Billy is equipped in all areas of the fighting business, and but you know, his main asset in this fight is this brain here, his fighting IQ. So he won't forget that. I'm pretty confident he won't forget that. And if the time arises, he knows when to plant his feet. But you'll have to wait and see.
And what will you be doing yourself and Billy and the team just the last couple of days before fight night?
Well, it's all done now. We're just tightening up and tapering down, basically tightening up and tapering down, and yeah, that's all we do now. You know, that's all we've been doing for a few days, to tell the truth. Tightening up, tapering down, and I'm sure Billy's going through one or two things in his head, stylistically and tactical wise, and we're due to meet now when I've had this breakfast.
And best of luck, of course, for Saturday. And just whilst you've been out there, when you were in Vegas, Tyson Fury was out there as well, and Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor's got a fight coming up at the end of the month, and hopefully we're not too far away from a major announcement with regards to Tyson versus AJ. How were they both looking, and what did you make of those two guys ahead of their fights coming up?
Tyson Fury's in very, very good spirits. I got to meet him a few days ago. I hear he's coming to the fight, which would be fantastic for Billy Joe. Josh Taylor's a little bit more focused, a little bit more reserved, which which makes sense because he's got a fight, I guess, in 3 weeks' time. And he's got a tough fight himself. But it was fantastic to meet all of them and Ben Davidson. It was wonderful to meet fighting boxing people from back in England. It was really, really nice and refreshing, and it was good for Billy Joe for sure, because you know I could see it written all over it. Fantastic, yeah.
No, well, all of us here, we're wishing you the best of luck for Saturday night, and it'd be great to have those all those world titles come back to these shores.
Indeed, it will be, and we're on the game. We're on the game. We fancy the job. And we're here to win. Team Saunders is here to win, 1,000,000%.
Well, there you go. Confidence, as you would expect from Mark Tibbs and the camp.
Yeah, he's been confident throughout, and they're confident that Billy Joe puts on a boxing lesson, which is bold against a guy like Canelo. But you know, Mark Tibbs knows his boxing. He knows how talented Billy Joe is, and they've got every confidence in there, man.
Well, that's a fantastic fight to look forward to, and well, there's other action going on as well. Keep abreast of it all. But what's on the agenda for you then over the next few days?
Over the next few days now, so look forward to watching Liam. We're catching up with his fight, but as for my own fighters, James Moorcroft, he's on now. The week's counting down for him. Just waiting on news on Rhiannon Dixon.
21st, is it, James, or the 28th?
21st.
21st.
The main, his first title fight. Yeah, so not long at all. And I know I was in Joe Gallagher's this morning. I know Paul Butler, they're just waiting on the date, but it's going to be sometime in June. Him and Ophi Burton in, I think, final eliminators, one for a world title being Paul Butler, and Ophi for a British title. So yeah.
And then you'll have Jake James out in June, won't you?
Jake is out yet, early June as well. So I'm getting busy myself with the fighters. So looking forward to it all.
There you are. No bubble fun for you for a bit. It's all back on the work.
Unfortunately.
Well, there you go. Well, more next week, but thank you very much indeed for watching the Betfred Boxing Show.